thanks for checking out Pac-10 Sports Talk. This is week 10 of the NCAA football season. Right now we're going to recap last week's games. We're going to start off with Oregon's win over USC. It was 53-32. Joel, what is your take?
Great game. It was a hard-fought contest, just kind of like we thought it would be. Of course, Oregon pulling out and making it a blowout towards the end. For Oregon, Michael James again showing why he's a Heisman contender, 239 yards. But I think more importantly for Oregon and their success has been the progress of Darren Thomas. The last couple of weeks, his progress in the passing department and being able to look off that first and second receiver and hitting that fourth or fifth guy has made the linebackers and the safeties move back, which has opened up running lanes for Michael James. For USC, my concern as a USC fan is what to expect the rest of the year. This was probably USC's biggest game, and with the sanctions, of course, they're not going to a bowl game. So does Lane Kiffin, is he able to get the boys up? Are they able to rally back and play strong the rest of the year, or are they just going to lie down? Who knows?
I agree with all that. I think it's also a case of Oregon conditioning paying dividends. It's possible for teams, and we know it's not only possible, but teams can match up with Oregon talent-wise. And they can come up maybe the right kind of defense to defense Oregon's offense. They can be in the right place to make the play. But still, you play 60 minutes with Oregon, you tend to take a play off now and then because of their hurry-up offense. And if you take a play off against Oregon, Michael James will take it to the house, or Darren Thomas will find somebody open down the middle, and they'll burn you. If opposing teams could play Oregon retroactively and only play 30 minutes, the funny thing is Oregon will only be 5-2 on the season. Plus, it'd have one game that went to overtime. But good for Oregon. They aren't going to change the rules, and they're not going to play those quarters retroactively. So teams are going to have to learn how to play a full 60 minutes with Oregon. I think, honestly, to beat Oregon, you're going to have to get a little bit better conditioned.
USC had 2 weeks to prepare for the game, and Lane Kiffin said that the 2 weeks of conditioning, the extra conditioning that they had, paid dividends, and he said it's amazing what 2 years would do since Oregon's been running this hurry-up offense for the last 2 years. In the first couple minutes of the second half, USC scored a couple quick touchdowns to actually take a lead on Oregon, but Oregon, again, defensively shut them out in the second half and ended up really dominating the game. Offensively, Oregon's offensive line opening up huge holes for Michael James and protecting Darren Thomas incredibly. He's only been sacked twice on the season, and I think that's the reason Oregon's doing so well.
Okay, let's talk about Stanford's win over Washington. Basically a shutout, 41-0. Jason.
I think Jake Locker being hurt has a lot to do with it, and as we talked last week, they're not moving the pocket and utilizing him to the best of his abilities. Stanford offensively is just far superior to Washington, and Washington's defense is terrible. So that was the reason for the dominance by Stanford.
And I think Andrew Luck is continuing to show why I think he should be a Heisman candidate. I mean, the guy's not only beating people with his arms, but he's also beating people with his legs. He rushed for well over, I think it was 92 yards in this game. But I think ultimately, like Jason said, it's just Washington's just in a little bit of a funk. I think if you can contain Jake Locker and make him not be able to do some play action passes and then run, I think that's a pretty brutal offense right now.
Yeah. Well, 41-0. It's a tough week for Washington schools all over the place. Between the two, Washington and Washington State didn't score a point all weekend. And neither did Jake Locker. They had 20 NFL scouts on hand to see the game, and I don't think Jake Locker made any points for them. Meanwhile, Andrew Luck. Meanwhile, Andrew Luck's doing a Jake Locker impersonation. Like you said, he ran the ball really well. He took off and scored on a 51-yard touchdown. And, I think the scouts might have been confused a little bit about which quarterback they were watching because Luck was doing what Locker usually does. If I ask Pac-10 fans who's leading the Pac-10 in rushing among quarterbacks, I think most people would probably say
Jake Locker, yeah.
Jake Locker, or maybe Darren Thomas. But Andrew Luck's leading the Pac-10 in rushing yardage, and he's about 30 yards ahead of Darren Thomas and quite a ways ahead of Locker. So Luck has been really impressive, and he's actually done that on fewer carries, by the way. I thought that was kind of interesting. So it's honestly not so much of a great win for Stanford this game, but it was really honestly a bad loss for Washington.
There was. Okay, moving on. Cal went down to see Oregon State. Another loss for Cal. Jack, what's your take?
Well, we've beat this to death about how bad Cal plays on the road. They win at home, lose on the road, and we talk a lot about it. But I think Cal fans are now about ready to start burning their season ticket so they don't get a little better effort from Cal on the road. And adding insult to injury, Kevin Riley got injured, and he's probably going to be out for the season. So that's another big hit. Can things get worse for Cal right now? I'm wondering. On the other hand, good news for Mike Riley, no relation to Kevin Riley, at Oregon State. His pass defense, which is ranked 9th in the Pac-10, got better on the day. Oh, did I say California was playing at Oregon State? Did I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why it got better then.
No, yeah, Cal's just has not done very well against Oregon State. But especially when you're playing at Oregon State, which has a true home field advantage, Oregon State plays very well at home. The score is what we expected. And Jaquiz Rogers, I mean, good performance, 3 touchdowns. And I like the play of Cats. And that's a team that people aren't talking a lot about is Oregon State. And they only do have 1 conference loss. They have a favorable schedule with a lot of good teams at home. And that's a team that I'd be beware of is Oregon State. And you know, a Mike Riley team usually finishes strong. So
I think Quiz had his breakout game. He ran for over 100 yards, threw a touchdown pass.
through a touchdown, yeah.
And and out of that Wildcat formation, they're running a little more of that Wildcat formation. So they're definitely getting better as the season goes on. They're going to be strong.
Okay, so what can we say about Washington State's loss to Arizona State? Another blowout?
Well, I guess I should probably take the lead on that one because last week I don't know what I was trying to prove, but I predicted a Washington State victory. And for you Sun Devil fans and Sun Devil Nation, I apologize on that. But I think what we ultimately what we found out about this game is Arizona State does have talent, and the problem with Arizona State is they never put a complete package together. And I think although they played lowly Washington State, I think we learned that when their offense is clicking and Stephen Threed isn't throwing a lot of interceptions, they got a running game, and on defensively when they're flying around, that's the same defense that we saw against Oregon and we saw against Wisconsin. And when they have a good offense and that defense is playing and flying around, and they're not doing the stupid Dennis Erickson penalties that Dennis and Erickson's team is known for, and they play that complete package, I think we learned that Arizona State can be a dangerous team. So that's what I kind of took out of that game.
Well, honestly, I thought Joel, after last week, he gave Washington State some love, predicted Washington State would win, and then when they get bombed 42-0.
You probably felt that.
Fluke.
Honestly, I thought Joel might show up this week wearing a shirt that says "Cougars bite me." That's what I thought. But Joel, you're bigger than that. You didn't do that. But a 42-point loss. Come on, Cougars. 8 rushing yards. Jeff Toll throws 2 picks. This is not the same Washington State team we talked about last week that was getting better. They definitely took a step backwards. Now, Erickson's kind of straddling the fence down at ASU. We talked about he may be on the hot seat. Don't know if that's true or not. But now he's 2 wins away from picking up a bid to a bowl game. Or he might be, making his resume up for another team at some point down the line, one or the other. But he needs 2 wins to get to the bowl game. He's got UCLA on the horizon. That's a possibility for a win. I think he could pick up a win there. But after that, he's got USC, Stanford, and Arizona. That gets tough. So Sun Devil fans out there, hold your breath.
They're not going to a bowl game, Jack.
Okay. There's a chance.
They're going to win one of their last 4, and then that's it. So, as far as Dennis Erickson's stupid penalties, they are getting better at that. Washington State, again, we said they were getting better. They definitely took a step back. They're not going. They're 42-0. They need to get better.
And I want to go on the record and say I don't know if I can root for Cougar Nation anymore. I don't think I'll pick it. Maybe in the Apple Cup I'll pick up a victory for you, but they burned me big time.
Okay, so the last game in the Pac-10, probably the closest game by far, and not a blowout, was Arizona playing UCLA 29-21. Jack, what did you see out of that game?
Well, Arizona won a game that should won against UCLA 29-21. Good, hard-fought game. Mike Stoops' program at Arizona is on the upswing. His first 4 years there, he was 17-29. But in the last 3 years, he's gone 23-11 and 7-1 this year. So they're going in the right direction. Their defense is a top-rated defense regarding points allowed per game in the Pac-10. So they did what a program should do that's heading in the right direction. They beat UCLA. UCLA's offense, which usually should be in hospice because they're so bad, actually got a shot in his arm this week. Their quarterback threw 2 touchdown passes, threw for like 230 or 40 yards, did a good job, kept the game close. So it was a, they kept it close. It was a fun game to watch. But honestly, I think Mike Stoops should enjoy the limelight while he can, because on the horizon they've got Stanford, USC, and Oregon, and honestly, that's tough sledding.
I was impressed though, although statistically when you look at this game, Arizona had almost double the amount of yards, almost 600 yards to 300 yards, and there should have been I mean, there was plenty of times where they could have actually blown the game away. But I was actually more impressed with UCLA. Typically when they get in these circumstances, they usually they fall down and they just die. And these games become blowouts. It was nice to see that UCLA fought and they scrapped and they did everything they could. And they got some opportunistic fumble recoveries and whatnot to stay in the game. And it was nice to see that they kept it close, which is not common for a UCLA team. I just don't know if a moral victory counts in Westwood. I don't know how many moral victories they can have before they actually boot Neuheisel, which I did predict last week. That's what they should do.
UCLA played gritty. They fought and got those turnovers and kept the game closer than I thought it would be. I really thought Arizona was going to win 42-17, and so they fought hard. But in the end, Matt Scott was too much. Antolin played very well, and Arizona dominated.
And again, it's nice that Arizona can do that with a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
are they even missing Foles right now? I don't know. Maybe they are.
Doesn't seem like it. Okay, there it is. Last week's recap.